Yeah, we're going to be working today on the spreadsheet a little bit. Well, we're going to add some stuff. I've got some people helping me with some data entry. We're updating everybody's kits to put in what they have on their A1, A2, and A3. We're also starting a new page for gearing. I'll show you that. We're going to make sure that we update what you should be building each character in and why. Um, we have other things on the spreadsheet, general info, shop information, foodie guide, packs, things like that. But we want to make this more user friendly for everybody. We're also adding some columns to put just a color coded tick mark for people if they stand out in Arena or in Tulpa or in Ash or in Poison, things like that. So you can look quickly and see which characters work well in which area. Um, Dover is forcing Kenny to try harder in Guild Boss. Yeah, I saw that you passed him in our guild. I'll show that screen in just a minute to everybody to let them know. Yeah, you definitely did some good work in Guild Boss. I'll brag on you in just a minute. I'm running the Jelly Arena right now for a little bit of experience. Also, make sure when you run the Jelly Arena, you use a double Jelly reward to maximize what you're getting. I'm gonna message Dan and see what's up with his account. He's probably too stressed out to join us, but it's worth a shot. We also talked to some people. Hey, Kalaskos. We're also talking to Kenny and Zoldiark are going to come by today. Coco, a lot of the people in our guild, and a lot of people in our community. So our goal today is to add more people to our community. If you're new, please drop a follow. And if you're part of our guild, we also want to get more people into the actual building of the spreadsheet so we can get more people typing in it and update it faster. If you're interested in our spreadsheet, I will likely post this on Facebook later on. So if anybody is interested in finding any of this out, you can come to my Twitch channel anytime, even when I'm not online, and type in exclamation spreadsheet, and it'll pop up this Google Doc. From this link, you can view only, or you can make a copy, and then you can update your own, drag and drop, type in whatever you want, and personalize it however you want. Also, we have our own private Discord with a lot of information. If you're interested in joining our Discord, you do not have to be a part of the guild. Just type exclamation Discord, and that's the link to our Awaken Discord. There are some other games in there, Magnum Quest, Rage of Destiny, things like that. If you're only playing Awaken, once you go in, there's a game registry. You can click on that, and it's set up so that you can click on any of the other games that you don't want to get pinged on, and it will take them off. Everybody is defaulted to play everything, and then you just click the ones you don't want to get notifications for. So if you only play Awaken, just go into that registration and click the images of the games you don't play, and you will not get any notifications from those games. Only the ones you want to play. So that's our Discord and our spreadsheet. Seems like there was something else we had on here. Hey, Dan, how are you doing, man? Frustrated? Dan is our guinea pig today. Dan's account got busted a little bit, so we're having a little bit of fun with him. Dan is having to restart from the tutorial, so he's a little bit busy. Dan hates everyone right now. Dan was posting pictures of his cat in the Awaken Discord, so they took away his ability to post gifs or photos also. So um, Dan Hollman is clearly not Canadian. Oh, I love it. I love when the Canadian folks are the ones that are making the Canada jokes. Dan is hard stuck. He has to now, because now he has to redo all the initial steps in the quests. And so, for example, it's telling him he has to level up his Hydrisia, but she's max level, so he can't level her up. So he's in a bind on some stuff. I certainly hope, I'm laughing with Dan. I'm laughing with him. I'm certainly hoping they get this fixed. I'm not sure, though, at this point, how they fix it. If you've tried the IT crowd turning it off and turning it back on again, that's pretty much beyond my technical expertise. So unfortunately, I don't really know what to suggest at that point. But I do hope he's able to. At least this is a beta right now. Maybe that's why this is beta. They were updating. I have not really looked at the patch notes a whole lot. It just came out, but I saw some people talking about some characters that were that had some broken parts of their kit that have been fixed. I'm looking in the Discord right now, but we can look at the Thomas got nerfed into the ground. Yeah, I was afraid of that. Is it his defense down? Is it the Thomas defense down that got nerfed? Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, I'm running him right now in this jelly, but the jelly's so easy, you know, it's hard to tell. Which is why it's so important to get more people in our community and more people involved in updating this spreadsheet so that we can fix things like that while it is beta. The goal is, you know, I've had some people push back on the tier list and the spreadsheet saying, you know, why are you doing this in beta? But my response is that's exactly why we're doing it in beta, because we can update things and change them instantly. We've had some new characters added that we need to add onto the spreadsheet. For example, who was added? Where's tier 6? Untested. Dark Marion was already here, but we got Marion Shadowblood, and we got a couple other characters. So, you know, we need to start testing those out and fixing them. So, you know, like I said, being that it's beta, this is the time to update our list. And we'll show the spreadsheet in a little bit when we get some people on here working on it. But how's everybody doing today? Is everybody having fun grinding? Great when the servers are up. Yep, I get that. Definitely get that. I'm going to post something in Awaken to let them know that we're online. There we go. Hey, Kenny, how you doing? We were just picking on Dan a little bit about his account. And then I was about to go look at our guild boss attack chart because some people are clowning on you a little bit. So this is our guild. CHUPACABRA is our guild. And let's see, where do we go? Battle. How do I get to... Someone passed you in the battle. Here you go. Check this out. Countless Skies, over 500,000. He's out here talking a little bit about how he's pushing you. Yeah, well, I know. He got it again today. Yep, he said he's pushing you. He wants to give you some competition. I can't talk. I'm way down here. I'm oh my God, J-Town. Look at J-Town. Tips we gave J-Town really worked. See, I'm down here at 31. I'm down here with Coca. Man, J-Town really jacked his up. He was down below me, so he's doing well. So a lot of people are following your advice. Zoldiark, Dan, Red Eye, Kenny, and Countless. They're up at the top here with you. You went with Isrena instead of William. So what's the verdict on Thomas? The big news today about Thomas's nerf. Hey Zoldark, how are you doing? Welcome, buddy. We're discussing the Thomas is dead and buried. Is that the case? I was afraid of that. Yeah, when he was one-shotting Tulpa high level, that was probably a sign that it wasn't going to last forever. I've been using him, but I only had one copy, so he's not too far ascended. And then we were talking about the guild damage. Countless Skies and Kenny are locked in a battle at about 500,000, so they're doing some serious damage. Let's look at their teams. So Kenny's using a Yolanda. Not Kenny, excuse me. Countless is using a Yolanda. Both pretty strong teams. What's Red Eye using? A lot of Zatlux and her Hydrisia. Connor's a beast. Connor's just a beast. I'm just hoping that Connor doesn't get buffed. I mean, get nerfed, excuse me. I just built mine up a little bit. Yep, Zatlux battle. One of the things we're going to be doing is looking at gearing today and talking about what gear to put on different people. Like, for example, Connor. You know, people are asking how they should build their Connor out, and from everything I'm hearing, you know, since his heal is based on attack, you need to jack up his attack, but you also want to build up his HP for survivability to tank him up, things like that. So Blackhorn, on the other hand, scales from HP, so you want to build him as tanky as possible with Terra sets. So we're going to be going over some of those characters later today and filling that in on the spreadsheet and giving everybody a good idea of what you want to be looking for from each set on each character. If you put a lot on attack, they won't break the shield. Do my Connor with decent defense, hit point, 1.2 attack, and 50 crit rate. Shield is also based on attack for Connor. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and bring that up on screen. Hope everybody can see that a little bit. Let me increase the size of that a little bit. That's what she said. So this is our gearing page for the time being. So we're just putting over here different gears and stuff. So for Blackhorn, we'll start with Blackhorn, for example. We have heal scales from hit points, so build as tanky as possible, so build Terra set. So my recommendation is just use as much Terra as you can to get the 15-point HP bonuses from every 2 pieces. Build his HP up as high as possible, make him tanky, and scale that healing from HP. Connor, building attack to increase heal. I'll put heal and shield, and then hit point and defense to build tank. Okay. So build attack to increase heal and shield, defense to build tank for survivability. Yeah, what Dover's saying, he does need a HP just to survive when he gets hit with that first big AoE by the bosses. But to your point, you're right. Building attack and defense is a big portion of what he needs to do. What about other people? Anybody got an example of somebody they want to give an example of what to build? Some of them are pretty easy, so they're real quick, and we can update those. Winstrex needs speed in every category. I'm just using Raider set and making her as fast as possible. She's just going to be an initiator in the arena, so you just want her fast, fast, fast. Zachary, 4-piece rage to get the 20% crit. He'll often be your first 5-star set at the beginning of the game. Just invest in 5-star rage. What about Zatlux? I don't have a Zatlux. What are you guys running your Zatlux in? And Zoldiark, Kenny, anybody, if y'all want to get on voice, I'm on voice chat in our Discord on chat 2 if you want to join us. Dover, you saying for Zatlux he needs to get 70% crit? Then crit damage, attack, HP, speed. In that order. And he gets a 30% crit bonus, right? And that's why. Awesome. Speed is a thing. If he's not strong enough, you might have to play the last in your team. Otherwise, speed is good. Cool, cool. So far, I had to reduce his speed for Guild Boss because he gains 50 speed on A1, and I need Yolanda to go first to give him the attack buff. Let's see, what else? What about like Isrena? Anybody that people are using a lot, I want to start with. Common people that people a lot they're in a lot of compositions. Evelyn, anything that people are starting out with. What are some good initial builds for some of these people? Isrena standard damage dealer setup, and what would you recommend for that? Okay, 100% crit rate, crit damage, speed, focus helps with ability. And she should have the lowest HP.
Hey, Shupa, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. How you doing, buddy?
Ah, finally got that mic working. It's been a pain in my backside. Yeah, I'm doing well.
Awesome. This is Coco. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. So we're talking about Isrena. We're saying she wants to be we want her to be the lowest hit point on team for Tulpa. I'm gonna put this in there to
Yeah, I've been watching. I'm collapsing
proc
on the stream.
counter. Hey Reacher, how are you doing? Awesome. I think this is going to be a good page for people to look at. That's going to help a lot of people. Are there any other characters that we want to look at first? I'd like to get as many as we can, but some of them may just be kind of the same build as like Isrena. That's okay. We can just copy and paste.
Paste.
So we're basically just working through gear right now.
Yeah, we're working through the gear right now. We're going to go back and look. Lashana and some other people are typing in kit. We can look at that like on the tier list. We're not so much changing gear. I mean, changing tier right now, but we're also looking here and adding in like people that we think have a significant advantage in different areas. We're just putting a different column in here so people can see. Like for example, if you're looking for Arena, Hydrisia, Mara. Here's some people like Winstrix and Hugh that are easy early builds that can help you in Arena. Joseph, Freya as an attack buffer, and Malago for slow. He puts a slow on the defense. So just tagging some people in each character area. Tulpa, Zachary, Thomas. Although after Thomas's nerf today, this one remains
Yeah.
to be seen. Connor, Isrena. So we just want to kind of put out there like Poison, Goobag, Raven. So kind of an easily identifiable. We had some people ask about that. So that's one of the things we're working on today. If there's people we want to highlight or prioritize in certain areas, we can do that. Also, gear lists and helping people figure out what basic gears to be using on each character.
Awesome, sounds good.
Dover saying that Zatlux for raid boss. Is that like guild boss? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think that's the boss.
I can never find text wrapping at home. It's different than my work computer. Okay, so, and then I screwed this up. So reset, reset, reset. So let's do that. Let's look at Raid Boss. Who are the top characters to use for Raid Boss then? And it doesn't have to be just the very best. It can also be like bargain people. So Zatlux for sure, Raid Boss. And then it's going to deal with affinity. Yeah, it's all going to be affinity based. But William is very good.
I mean, Blackhorn's pretty good for sustain, but...
Awesome. For Tulpa, I've got Zachary, Thomas, and again, that could get mitigated. Connor, Isrena.
Connor, Isrena.
Whoa, I'm getting an echo. Anybody else for Tulpa?
Anybody else for Tulpa?
Coco, is your speaker on?
It is now. I had it off before. I was on mute.
Okay, I was wondering where that echo. I didn't know if it was coming from on if you had your Twitch volume up or something.
No, I've got Twitch sound off right now and just Discord on.
Okay.
I figured that was probably best.
Awesome. Well, I'm not hearing the echo now, so something must have taken
cool.
care of it. Tulpa, so Zachary, Thomas, Connor, Isrena. Anybody else we should tag on there? I think that's a pretty common group, plus along with any legendaries anybody gets or any build from there. That seems like the basement.
I will say, depending on affinity, to increase sustain and actually damage isn't bad. Marion's actually a pretty good entry point for it as well. Take it what you will, because I'm only ranking up to rank 9 on Clan Boss right now, so I'm not at the high levels that some of these guys are. But I mean, I found her pretty useful against Wood.
And we're talking about this Marion, the elite Marion, right?
Elite Marion, yeah. I mean, as an entry level healer, basically what she does is she has a passive that basically gives the team 30% lifesteal. So what happens is everybody that's doing damage, if you could basically put a full damage team against the clan boss, pretty much with her kind of just healing them for 30% of their damage each time. It's a trickle heal, but it's not terrible for Wood for in particular.
Awesome. Any poisons that we want to point out besides Raven? And from everything I understand, Raven is better than some of these others. Some of these others are just that go with a poison team.
Asgore should be good, but I don't know what's wrong with him. He feels like he needs a buff in some respects. He feels like he's made for this, but he just isn't. He just isn't getting results when I've tried him. So I'm not saying put him on the list. I'm saying he shouldn't be on this right now, but he really should be.
Gotcha. Let's see. Marion is decent, but eventually, this is a great quote. Dover says, Marion's decent, but eventually the boss don't care because you're too busy being dead to gain the lifesteal, but she's a great starter. Then Yasuk asked, does the lifesteal work if the boss has a shield up? You're technically not dealing damage then. Dan says, Santis should be the strongest prisoner, but needs 5 to awaken. But needs 5 awaken. Okay, so back to gearing. Is there anybody on here that we want to update? Abaddon, Abbott, Abigor, Agzul, Andre, Anna. What about Balbrith? Same as Isrena? Crit rate, crit damage, speed?
Greetings.
What's that?
I said greetings.
Oh, hey Zoldiark, how are you doing? I couldn't tell the British accents apart. I thought it was still Coco. How are you doing, my friend?
Not too bad.
Thank you for joining us. So we're
Although,
going through our gear list.
Having to figure out how I'm going to get around not being able to use Thomas anymore.
I think there's a lot of that going on right now. Yeah, that nerf was a little bit biting.
Yeah,
Black Horn if you've got him.
It, though. It's just kind of a shame that I invested so much into my Thomas.
Yeah, I'm investing up on my Connor, and I'm hoping he's not next. Dan's asking, is it that bad on Thomas?
Oh yeah, my Thomas is, because he got a double nerf. Number one, the 2 defense downs don't stack anymore. And number 2, I believe, and the thing that kind of made me want to test Thomas immediately is when they said on the patch notes that defense can now no longer go below 0. And I think the reason that Thomas was doing so much damage is that when you stack the 2 defense buffs, Tulpa's defense was going below 0. Like my Thomas is the skill that used to do 50k a hit is now doing 5k a hit.
Ouch, that's a big drop.
Yeah, I can't even clear Tulpa 11 with that team anymore.
Well, I've not tested him since the patch. That's a huge nerf.
Yeah, he does like 10% of the damage he used to do. You know, it doesn't. I'm not gonna cry about it because it does seem to be like it was a bug that he was doing that much damage, and I suspected it might have been because it's like everybody's doing 5 and 10k hits, and then he comes in and does 50 with shit gear.
Yeah, that's pretty significant.
Yeah, so Tulpa teams are basically back to the drawing board.
Are people using Abbott? I hear a lot of people talking about Abbott being a good elite. Is it really just people? Is his value mainly just people who really need the water affinity early on? Some of my issues with some of the elites is that if you progress quickly earlier in the game, to me, by the time you invest in them, you're kind of beyond the point of using them.
Abbott has a massive problem. People discovered Connor.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. So I understand that Abbott can help if you need a water affinity, but I would much rather use my materials on Connor than Abbott.
Even if Connor was negative affinity, I'd use him over Abbott.
Right.
The buffs he gives you are just massive. Yeah, for all except super fringe case scenarios, Connor is just like way better than Abbott.
Yeah, and up until today, it was kind of like my teams consisted of Zachary, then Thomas, then Connor. Now, obviously, with the nerf, Thomas is out of the equation, so Connor is up there right after Zachary as far as being kind of like a primary auto build.
Yeah, and by the way, on that note, Thomas definitely needs to go down a tier.
Right. So we can go ahead and do that then. Let's see. My question would be how far down? Down into 5? Till we know more?
No, he still stays in 4 because he has another use case.
Okay, but definitely below Connor, below William.
His use now is he has 2 uses. One is when you need to remove buffs, and the other one is in the counterattack team with William and I
Right.
forget the other two.
So I'm going to take out Tulpa Terror and leave counterattack. Should we take him off the Tulpa team then now? Because that's the other thing we've been doing today is tagging people in different areas, like arena. People that have like arena build, like Winstrix and Hugh are especially good in arena. Certain people, even without affinity, are good in raid boss. Then we have our Tulpa team members. But should we take Thomas off that for the time being now? Because it sounds like we might need a better comp. I would say, for example, somebody like Isrena now is probably much more valuable in a Tulpa composition than she was. Because if you had been using, say, Zachary, Connor, Thomas, then your fourth person was probably somebody else. But now that you just have Zachary and Connor as fire affinity, to me, Isrena now becomes more valuable as a third affinity dealer.
Yes, Dover. It is all Dan's fault, but then Dan can say it's my fault because I was the one that told him about the team.
Hey, Boiler, hope you're doing well today. Thank you for coming in. Anybody that's new, please drop a follow. Please click the heart button, and you'll be part of our community. You'll get notifications when we go on. We have a lot of opportunities to update our spreadsheet. If you are new and you want a copy of the spreadsheet, you can type !spreadsheet in the chat here. Hold on, let me take off my caps lock and do that. By doing that, it'll come up with the link. From that link, you can either view only or you can make a copy. If you make a copy, then you can drag and drop. You can type into it. You can personalize it, do whatever you want. Also, if you're interested in joining our Discord is available at !Discord there. And you can talk to a lot of people that are working together on this as well. If you're looking at our spreadsheet, we have some general info, all the in-game codes, general notes. We have a tier list that we update each Saturday. We also have things like market guide, what to buy in the shop. We're starting today with gear recommendations to tell you the best gear for each character. We list all of the foodie guides as we get information about those, information about the best packs and values to buy, and Ascension gear, Ascension guides. And we'll be adding more stuff to it as you guys come up with ideas. And like this is one of Mecca's ideas last time. Mecca was saying, hey, why don't you add in some columns with a quick view color-coded of different areas of the game so we can look and see right off the bat characters that can help us, like in a poison team or stuff like that. So that's one of the things we're doing today, is going through and adding those in. Also, Lashana and a couple other people are helping with going in and typing in the kits so we can get that completed, so you can see everybody's kits throughout the game, all their A1, A2, and A3, which will help you with you can do a Control F search if you need to find somebody that does a certain ability. We want to make this as user-friendly as possible. So it's still a work in progress, but we're definitely open to community comments, and we want to, this isn't my list, this is our list. I want everybody to be able to communicate what they want out of it, and be able to make it personalized too, that you can change it on your copy if you want to as well. So with that said, getting back to some of the gear recommendations, are there any people that we want to update and update their gear list? Like Hydrisia, what is the best? What's the optimal gear setting for Hydrisia?
Just a standard attack.
So just 100% crit rate, crit damage, and speed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's easy enough.
By the way, Mad World, to answer your question, Celestial Cane is very niche, but very, very good when his niche is required. That one-turn immunity to damage on certain fights can be a
What's
game
up, fellas?
changer. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Josh, how are you doing? This is Joshverse. Joining me in chat are Joshverse, Zoldiark, and Kokochu.
Yeah,
One of
hello.
the things I was thinking about on
Hey,
your
Josh.
tier list, Chupa, is actually to do with one of the videos Josh dropped the other day. Is like, You should probably mention that things like the poison team and the bleed team and the counterattack team, they are not early game teams.
Okay.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
They take so much investment.
I think I came in right at the tail end of somebody mentioning what type of gear is good for Hydrisia. Are you looking for sets or how to build her?
Both. We're starting a gearing table. People were asking about gearing. So, like for example, like Blackthorn here. We wanted to say that it heals. The heal scales from HP, so build tanky and use a Terra set. So anything like that, anything that gives people an idea of what to use.
Well, for Hydrisia, definitely her best endgame gear will be the curse set. Make use of that trait.
And what does the curse set do? Does it have a what is the benefit of it?
50% chance to take another turn.
Okay.
I would just put the whole thing in bracket cursed set end game, because it's like a lot of the people that are going to be looking at this type of list, they're going to be looking for their initial sets.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be her end game because Ash is he's no joke to farm.
They did fix Joseph though, so that should help. But the thing with Ash farming is if you don't have Hydrisia, what the fuck do you do?
You will need Nathalia. That is a very, I guess you could say she's a very not a popular unit. Not too many people talk about. She's kind of like under the radar, but she's definitely a unit that you can run in that because if she has buffs on her, she turns all 3 of her skills into AoE.
I can't say as I've heard of her. What is she, Epic or Lego?
Which
She's an epic and she's a blue type, water.
I'll have to have a look through my list, see if I got her.
yeah, what faction is she, Josh?
Let me double check.
Because now that my Thomas hits like a damp squib, I'm probably going to start farming Ash
Is this
instead.
Nathalia, epic water from Free Cities? Does that sound right?
Oh, are we talking Nathalia? Nathalia, Free Cities.
Yeah,
Is that?
Yes. And she has an A grade attack as well and A crit, so she's got some DPS potential for sure.
Same build,
And what's
basic attack build.
Yeah, she's basically going to be built just kind of like your Hydrisia. And
That's
what's
good
really
to know. I've
nice,
not actually built her yet.
what's really nice is if you run her with Joseph, she's going to be making use of those buffs. There's also a spell. Let me go ahead and double check the spell real quick. You can actually abuse a spell with her as well to really help out her kit. Let me just pull up the spells real fast. Give me 1 second. All right, so the spell that keeps you from taking lethal damage, if you give that to her, as long as she doesn't die in that fight, she'll have that buff remain on her permanently throughout the entire fight. So that's already giving her access to another target to hit with all 3 of her skills, just by default. So there's some really unique things you can do with her.
Awesome. Dover, what about Molehex? I know he's your favorite.
Endgame PvP.
Yeah, can we move Molehex down another tier, please?
So much hate for Molehex.
Yeah, well, I'm about to feed my Molehex today, I think.
Molehex is a funny one because he's going to be a unit. He kind of reminds me in a way, if you ever played Epic 7 with Dark Corvus, he's a unit that everybody laughed at, hated for so many months, but when endgame PvP became resistance with tank units, he became like one of the best units in the game for PvP. That's going to be Molehex in the future.
Is he like going to be good for like
not really,
an arena
because
defense?
he needs turns to like use his ult or to make use of his passive. But with the fact that you take that damage when you're taking turns and the defensive team doesn't take any damage.
Well, you'd run him with Hakren, you'd run him with Corrupt Aurak. It's a very expensive team. Very, very expensive. Like as it stands right now, I think you need like 5 dupes for a corrupt Orak to even get his trait. So it's very expensive.
Yeah, the problem I have with Molehex is that the multipliers on his abilities are not very high. Because even if I have a Molehex that's 60 with good glyphs, and even if I put him in my best attack set, he kind of struggles to keep up with Zach DPS wise. Which for a Lego with that amount of investment in it is disappointing. But he's the kind of champion that wouldn't surprise me if on launch they kind of tweaked his numbers a bit. Shut up, Dover. I just leveled him because I wanted to test it out. That's what the beta's for.
Is he as bad as
Hey.
Desmond?
No.
Hey, last beta.
He Molehex is usable. He's just for the amount of the thing we kind of have to bear in mind with any Lego in this game is the Legos in this game take so much investment.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing. I think they're getting a bad name in beta because you can build Connor better than legendaries and Zach real fast. But over time, once you're playing this game for a year and those legendaries are level 60 and fully ascended, they're going to be a lot better. But but to Josh's point, it's going to take a long time. And if you're going to build a poison team or a counterattack team or any of these teams, you got to put a lot of material into them to get them there. So I certainly get what you guys are saying there. That's absolutely accurate. I mean, it's a lot different playing this game for a month than beginning a slow grind for a year.
It also doesn't help the fact that you can't even level up your legendary skills until you get to stage 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't find the skilling up too bad, if I'm being honest. It's the Ascension. I mean, they really need to find more ways to put in Ascension crystals. I think that would be really the answer to it, because then you can kind of do what you want. I don't think they need to be super common, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think Ascending Legendary should be, like, part of the game challenge, but on the other hand, you can't really see the power until they are ascended. So, I mean, they do need to make them a little bit more available than they are now, I think. Not necessarily legendary characters, but, like, Ascension abilities.
Well, I've spoken with Borden and Ace quite a bit, and I've told them that for legendaries in particular, or not, I'm sorry, not legendaries, the light and darks, we should be able to feed in their counterparts for the dupes. So, like for example, the new Marion, the dark one, we should be able to feed in the fire ones for Ascension.
That makes sense.
That's a great idea.
And whilst I understand why they do it on some of the Ascension abilities being at Ascension 5, it's like it makes those characters so ridiculously inaccessible. So I think, frankly, even if it's a really good Ascension, it should still be at 2. It's still hard enough to get 2 dupes of a unit, let alone 5.
Yeah, I mean that's true, especially of legendaries. I mean, it's not. I mean, I could see them doing it so that, like, you know, maybe you were 5 for elites, but then maybe 3 or 4 for epics, and, you know, 2 or something for legendaries or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I could see them moving it around. Maybe. I mean, they're definitely game changing abilities though. When you unlock through Ascension, I mean, it definitely changes how the character feels quite a lot.
They would need to either leave it as is and increase the drop rates quite a bit, make them 2 to 3% instead of 1, or they would have to just make everything Ascension 2 instead of some with 2 and 5, because it's just very inconsistent. Because you could sit there and debate and argue that some of the Ascension 5s aren't even as good as some of the ones that, you know, get their traits at 2. So it just doesn't make any sense. Just keep it even keel, make everything 2, or increase the drop rates, because I'm telling you right now, a whale is not going to sit there and spend a ton of money chasing like a corrupt Orak, bring him up again for 5 additional dupes when he has a 0.1% drop rate that then gets divided even further amongst how many light dark legendaries there are. So it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And it's also just a really feels bad mechanic. It's like you pull this awesome unit, but they're only awesome when you've had 6 of them. So you end up with these awesome units just sitting in your inventory for like months.
I still am also a little bit disappointed in the star system. I feel like when you pull an elite, it should be 3-star. When you pull an epic, it should be already 4-star. If you pull a legendary, it should already be a 5-star.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, if you want to power up a Connor, or I mean, I could see if he started out as a 3 or something like that. But yeah, to your point, I mean, like the 3, 4, 5 on. I mean, if legendary's 5, epic is 4, elite is 3, rare is 2, and common is 1. I think that's kind of a base set that we're familiar with from other games, and I think that works really well. Like I went in and it was autoing up all my level 1s, and it was like, it took like 500,000 jelly, and you're like, really? That's half of what it takes to promote somebody to 6-star. That just seems like an awful lot to me.
It's just right now it feels like you're being punished for pulling on those 0.9% rates for a normal legendary. It's like, okay, great, you pulled a legendary. Now you have to go to stage 7, which costs more stamina to farm up their skills. And now you also have to take that same legendary through the same process of building up an elite and an epic. So exactly what is the point of making these rates so low if the build up for them is going to be the same? It doesn't make any sense. It's like I'm working harder for a unit that's harder to pull than an easier unit that has a fairly good skill set and it's cheaper to build. So what's encouraging players to go for legendaries versus the epics and the elites?
Absolutely. That's a good point. Any other characters that have a unusual or a gear recommendation that you would want to give? For example, like we mentioned, Winstrix is just pure speed, just raid, raid, raid. Anybody else that needs sets other than just basic crit builds?
I have not been able to test this yet because of resources, but I still think that Zatlux would do phenomenal on an assassin set.
Zatlux?
Yeah, Zatlux with an assassin set. That seems like something that also could be utilized mid to end game for him.
Which one's the assassin set again?
It's the one that gives you, I believe it's an additional 10% per kill. Let me double check again what the percentages were, but that's essentially what the gear is.
No, Kenny, but I can fix that. Thank you.
Assassin drops on Queen of Tides, and what it does is, upon defeating an enemy, grants a 30% damage bonus for 1 turn. So yes, that would work perfectly for a unit like Zatlux. And it's only a 2-piece set, and I did confirm with Board and Ace that it does stack. So you could run a full set of Assassin, which would give you 90% damage per kill, like additional per kill, which is insanity.
Yeah, that would be insanity. It would also work to a lesser degree on Zach.
That's why I love this community. You guys are so smart.
Oh, I'm a toxic player. I'm always looking for something I can use to cheese my way through the game or break it.
Oh, I love it.
It's like, if it's not broken, it's not worth playing.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of it, is finding a way that works.
It's like, we found the Thomas thing. That was great. They nerfed it. Now we'll just find another thing. Well, I think the thing specifically with Zatlux and that set is the fact that he He's one of the few characters that actually has a smart AI that goes for the squishy little ads first. So then you're building up your attack so that then by the time you're actually attacking the elites, hopefully that extra damage will give him enough to one-shot the elites as well. Has anybody else found that? It's like the AI in this game is utterly stupid, except for like Zatlux. He's like the only smart one.
I think it's because I guess it's because he's he's really only got 2 skills essentially, and the one always resets if it gets a kill. So I guess the AI doesn't have too much complication there with him.
Yeah. Well, it's like it seems like his AI goes for the lowest HP first, whereas like Zach, when he's using his A2, will go for the elite. Whereas if he went for one of the little guys, he'd kill the little guy and then do a bunch of damage to all the elites as well.
My favorite auto that's hilariously dumb is if you run Mara with Zachary, Mara freezes an enemy. There's 3 other enemies. What does Zach do? He attacks when it's frozen. So it unfreezes. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah, it's like the AI code in this game is extremely basic as well. It's like prioritizes A3 and then A2 and then A1, which for characters like Molehex is actually really bad.
Oh, you guys already... I just noticed you guys already discovered Connor's secret. His shield scale to his attack.
Yeah.
Yep.
Make his shields unbreakable. Absolutely ridiculous. That guy is going to get nerfed.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is way that or they're going to make him an epic. He is way too strong to be an elite.
God, he ought to be
Like,
a legendary. But I don't want him to be because I don't want him to be hard to build. I want him to stay exactly like he is. Yeah, I was just saying right now on launch with what's happened to Thomas and stuff. At launch, Kenny and Connor should be the first 2 auto builds for everybody.
I didn't catch the first part. Who and Connor?
I'm sorry, Zachary and Connor. Zachary and Connor.
Oh yeah. If you're strictly free to play, definitely grab those 2 for sure. Maybe reroll for Zatlux or Hydrisia.
Yeah, I was reading
Try to get
Kenny.
both if
I
you
think I
can.
said Kenny instead of Zachary. I was reading Kenny's comment on the thing. Yeah, I meant Zachary. I'm sorry.
How would you guys describe Tizargo? I mean, I mean, basically, he's a heal control. I mean, he's like an anti-healer.
My issue with all the trees is some of them have really good skill sets, but their base stats are just way too low. They're rated as a D, and since everything that you put on them with gear scales from the base stat, no matter what kind of gear you put on them, their base stats are going to remain too low, and they're just going to get taken out, and they're going to be more of a liability than helpful. That's why the only one that I considered useful is my boy Mulagu, because he doesn't need any development. You just slap him in your PvP team, and that's it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I wasn't really saying about what the use was. I was kind of like I'm just working through the tier list and trying to describe him. And I guess for Tizargo, I mean, how would you word it? I mean, healer control is kind of what I'm thinking, but I'm just thinking what people might search for. Do you see what I mean?
It makes sense. Have you guys had a chance to check out the new unit?
Which one are you talking about?
Avera.
No.
I just did my review on her. She's a very good unit for bleed teams. She might be the best unit for the bleed teams outside of Scarlet. But the only difference with her is I noticed she can actually be used on her own. She doesn't actually have to be in the bleed team per se. So she's going to be a decent unit going forward.
It seemed so weird to me today that they had the Evera event and no Evera banner. It's like, that doesn't make sense.
That's one thing that I've complained about, that if they wanted to make any kind of money, this beta, not having any kind of rate up banner was not a good idea, because there are certain units out there that a lot of, spenders would love to have tried out. and max them out and see what they could do. The best way to do that is have a rate up banner. They had no rate up banners this entire beta. Didn't make no sense to me because you cannot be under the formula of putting new units in the banner of the general banner, because then the general banner becomes too flooded. So every time they add a new unit, they just now decreased all the percentages for every unit that was in there previously to make room for the new one. Because obviously you can't go over 100%. So that 100%, that pie becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's just going to be harder to pull units that are already there. And it's just not a good formula. So they should have definitely did a rate up banner for the new Marion and then did another one for the new Avera.
But even outside of that, they could have done some smart banners. They could have done a bleeding banner, a poison banner, a counterattack banner.
You want to get a whale to drop a few grand today? Put up a Light Dawn Evelyn banner.
Yeah,
They would go hard, try and pull her because she's arguably the best unit in the game. There you go.
Yeah, I didn't even see the events online.
Yeah, they increased the glyph drop rates for the level 4 and level 5s. I don't know by how much.
Well, I'm currently testing one of the legendary glyphs farming spots. Not the top spot, but like the second top spot where, you used to be able to do 10 runs and you might get one glyph if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm. They also made it...
My first run of 10, I got 2, and I'm about halfway through my second run of 10 right now.
They also made it to where we can no longer double stack defense down. We used to be able to abuse that with the spell. They took that away, unfortunately, so Tulpa might be a little bit more fun, I guess.
Well, that double stack defense down is how I figured out the Thomas thing in the first place. Because it was double stacking that plus attack up, and then suddenly my Thomas was hitting for 50k with shit gear.
There you go. But they took that away.
Yeah, unfortunately, when I read the patch notes, it was, oh shit. It was like the first thing I tested because it seemed very targeted.
All the fun is gone.
Kind of surprises me though, because I think there was some problem with the coding, because it, in theory, it should have just been a 30% defense down and a 50% defense down, which shouldn't have let the boss go below 0 defense, but I think it did. So I think there was some incorrect coding in there somewhere. Because, Thomas now, I ran it a couple of times after the servers came up after the patch, and his specific skill hits for 5k now, where it used to hit for 50. So he thinks there was something incorrect in the coding there somewhere that was letting it go below the lower limit. Yeah, exactly, Dan. I mean, that shouldn't have let it go below 0, but the only reason I can think of that he would have been hitting for that huge amount of damage was the fact that there was something wrong with the coding which let it wasn't actually 80% reduced, it was something that meant it go below 0.
I think what they should have also done with these new units that have been added to this beta is probably giving everybody a copy of that unit. So we can actually test the new unit before the beta ends. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yeah, it seems like they're not too fussed about like beta testing the units, because I can understand them wanting people to experience quote unquote normal gameplay for a couple of weeks, but then after that, I think you'd want to kind of throw things open for people to do all the broken things so they can find the various broken things.
Yeah, like Mythic Tower, who's testing that this beta?
I think there'll be only a handful of people that even complete hard.
You guys talk amongst yourselves for just a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, because I think I think we'd all like to test out like the poison team and the bleed team and the counterattack team and all these various other things, but there's no way that we're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, we can't test anything out. There's very few players that can even, utilize 6-star gear in this game at the moment.
Especially now that they fixed Thomas, you can't even farm it anymore. Except for the people that had very good other types of teams, and there's not many of those.
You need a very strong Zatlux, a very strong Cyrus, and maybe a really well built up Hector. Can't really think of too many other ones that are gonna do too well on like Tulpa 12. Maybe Zachary for 11 at least.
Yeah, Zachary's fine for 11, but it's like on 10, my Zachary is very strong. But he can't one-shot both waves on 11. And like he's fully max glyphed, fully max ascended, 6-star gear pretty much, or not 6-star, sorry, level 15 gear pretty much across the board. It's got like well over 3k attack, about 275% crit damage, I think. But he still can't one-shot both waves.
Yeah, because you'd have to somehow be able to reset his ultimate between wave 1 and 2. But then that would mean you'd have to run like a unit like Windstrex,
essentially, yeah.
But then you'd be down a DPS for the boss. So yeah, it's interesting. Now, a well-built Zatlux can actually one-shot Tulpa 12 both waves, which is very interesting. That dude is just a monster.
Yep. Well, it's going to be Hydrisia and Zatlux hard reroll for the
100%.
launch.
I would argue, to be honest, you'd get more value out of Zatlux as a reroll target than Hydrisia. But if you could get both, depending on what the pre-registration rewards will be, definitely do that. Try and get Hydrisia from your rookie summons. Try to get Zatlux from your pre-registration rewards, or vice versa. You get both them, you're good to go. Build up Zach, build up Connor, and you got yourself a nice little core team there to work on.
Yeah, and then you just you buy the magic pass, get Blackhorn, that covers your healing.
It's funny because my personal top 5 units right now from this beta so far, from all the various testing I've done, is number 1, Light Dawn Evelyn. Obviously, her skill 3 is bonkers. But I wouldn't consider her a true number 1 because there's a little bit of an asterisk next to her name. How many people are going to pull her? Obviously, her drop rate's going to be just abysmal unless they make some major changes. So the likelihood of ever seeing her for a lot of players right now, if it stands, it's not going to be good. But technically speaking, she is probably number 1. Number 2, I would put Zatlux just ahead of Hydrisia for the simple fact that he's going to counter her to death in PvP, both defense and offense. He's going to be basically never out of your team for most content outside of like maybe Ash or any kind of like fire-based content, but rest of it he's going to be in there. Then Hydrisia, obviously, she's going to be in there because just all the AoE damage with her trait, being able to carry you an Ash for that end game curse gear, very important. And at 4, I would say Mara, because outside of bosses, she's the best control unit in this game. She's ridiculous. And then at 5, which could be debatable, honestly, I got William, because I feel like William is a plug-and-play character. He could be in a core component into a lot of the top teams. Like I've mentioned in my last video with counter teams, bleed teams, poison team, he's in that team. And the way that he allows you to counterattack, if you run out with endgame curse sets, you're doing some crazy things with William in your team. So that's my top 5 anyway.
Yeah. My thing with Zatlux and Hydrisia is like, if I had to choose one, like day 1 of the league, and I could only have one,
Boom!
I'd
Speak
pick
of the devil.
Zatlux. But the thing is that there's certain bits of content like Ash, like Chapter 8.8, where if you don't have your own Hydrisia or access to a strong friend Hydrisia, it's like the content is nearly impossible. So it's like, just for progressing in general, Zatlux is like number one by quite a lot. But there are certain break points in the game, like certain areas where it's almost mandatory to have a Hydrisia. And like there were certain areas where, I probably wouldn't have passed them, except for the fact that I had various Hydrisias on my friends list.
That is something that they need to work on, because there should be no content in this entire game that requires one specific unit to clear it. Because if you don't have that one specific unit, or if it's a mode that does not allow you to use friends, for example, like Tower doesn't let you use friends, that's not good. That's not good balance. That's bad balance. They definitely need to fix that, look into that a little bit more, make units a little bit more diverse. A lot of the legendaries in particular are very niche characters. Like they have one specific role and they don't fit a lot of teams, and that's not good. Those are supposed to be your, highest rarity of characters, so a lot of them should be really good. I'm not saying make every legendary in the game just broken to where the epics are useless or the elites are useless, but find a balance between all three rarities. Even make like some of the trees that I talked about earlier, give their stats a little bit, a little more oomph. Why are they all Ds? Why you got other elites like Zachary that are one of the top units in the game, top 10 easily, and he's an elite in the same class with the trees. They got D stats. Like, tell me where that makes sense.
Yeah. I think the other thing that kind of it jumps out to me with the whole Hydrisia thing is possibly the fact that Hydrisia is so good and people kind of re-rolled for her has meant that people haven't looked, like I personally haven't looked too deep into the various attackers that are not Hydrisia in the water side of things, because I think one of the main problems and one of the reasons that we're having this not having a Hydrisia being like a roadblock is in fire you've got Zachary, in wind you have Zatlux, but there's no water equivalent that I know of that's either rare or epic.
Just Nathalia would be the only thing close to what Hydrisia can offer in terms of clearing waves. And unfortunately, this game is a very wave-heavy game. Obviously, some of the stages have bosses, but a lot of those bosses have a wave or two waves in front of them. You got all of Trial, you've got all of Tower, you've got PvP. Everything in this game right now, it just always centers back to you need a good AoE unit. You need someone who can clear wave. If you don't got a team that has a unit that can clear waves, you're gonna have a very rough time playing this game.
Yep.
That's why Zachary is so strong. That's why Zatlux is so strong. That's why Hydrisia is so strong. If you don't have one of those three, you're going to have just a difficult time. I mean, you can go out there and have the strongest single target unit in the game. That's fine. But when you get into a wave, what are you going to do? Sure, you're going to kill one. Then the other three is going to pick your team apart.
Two of those three.
Yeah, so it's like I said, you can make Nathalia work. You just got to get her some buffs, which there's a way to do that easily. Outside of that, it's kind of really hard pressed. Maybe Tia, but Tia's not really. She's not as much of a DPS.
Leveling my Tia right now to test her out.
I was like, we're very limited on potentially decent AoE type units. Like, there's a few units out there that have like one AoE in their kit, but they're not really a designated AoE damage dealer. It's just a skill that they have in their kit, but it's not their kit in general. So I don't know. They're going to definitely have to add some more, I think, AoE-based units to kind of spread it out a little bit. Like, I feel like we need a Zachary for elites for all three elements. Well, all five, technically, but at least the basic three. Because right now, elite wood units, what do we really have? Like what do we legit have that's a wood unit that's an elite that you're going to, go build up, put investment into, and use in the game right now? That's a problem. That's not a good thing to have. Even blue, to be honest, like what do you got for blue elites? You got Abbott as a decent healer, but why would you invest in Abbott when you got Connor?
Well, that's the thing. We were talking about that at the start of the stream. It's like when this beta first started, it's like, oh, you need a cheap healer, go with Abbott. And then people discovered Connor. And even if Connor is off affinity for whatever you're doing, he's still better than Abbott.
Exactly. He's gonna have bigger heals on his ult, and he has that protection with the big shields, and he gives you an
buffs
attack
your
buff.
attacker. Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, I would argue Connor's the best healer in this game, even over Nathalia, over Blackhorn. He's insane. He literally will be nerfed. I have no doubt in my mind he's gonna get hit some way. He's either gonna get bumped up to an epic, bumped up all the way to a legendary, hopefully not, or they're gonna redo his kit because that dude is not working like he should be working. He's way overpowered.
The easiest way for them to rework him so that he's more balanced would be on his buff, get rid of one or the other. It's like he either does attack up or shield, not both. Because him doing both as an elite unit is absurd.
I think a good nerf for him that's not going to completely kill his kit is just instead of getting 3 heals off in your ult, you only get 1.
That would kind of kill him off, though.
Well, no, because then he'd still be an amazing tanker unit for you because you still have that high shield that's going to be very unbreakable. And with only a 3-turn cooldown and a shield's lasting for 2, that's still really good sustainability. He'll lose his value as a healer, though.
Yeah, it's like, as far as I'm concerned, that triple heal is one of the most valuable bits of his kit. Because it heals almost as much as my Blackhorn's ult in shit gear.
Yeah, if you build Connor with all attack set, get that additional 45%, go attack percentage on boots, both accessories, get it on all 6 gears, substats. You know, you're going to be hitting 2, possibly 3K. You could probably stretch it to. He's going to be doing, 10, 15K heals on his ult, which is just ridiculous, AoE. And his shields are going to be very, very hard to break, if breakable at all at that point, depending on what content you're trying to do.
And because he's built with so much attack, on the odd occasion he does hit something. He actually hits reasonably hard.
Yeah, he won't do crappy damage.
Alright, so I just finished my second 10 run on the Lego glyphs. And I got 3 glyphs this time. So that's 5 glyphs in 20 runs, so about 1 in 4. That's very reasonable. And that's not at the max stage. So if they increase the drop rates at the max stage, it shouldn't be too hard to get Lego glyphs anymore.
I would like a 50% drop rate. I would like to go in on the highest stage of Mythic that they recommend, and you get 1 every 2 runs.
That's
so that'd
reasonable.
Be 1 drop every 24 stamina. But I highly doubt they went up that high. But it would be nice. I'm just concerned with this event we have right now. I hope the data that they're collecting on this event that they're doing right now with the stamina isn't kind of lost in context, because I have a feeling this is going to be one of the very few events we've had so far where all the players can actually complete it, only for the simple fact that we're getting 1,000 free stamina a day.
Yeah, but
when they're doing their data,
in my opinion, we're only getting 1,000 stamina a day at the moment in recognition of the fact that the energy system is not in the place it should be.
I hope so.
Well, if you think about it, we started getting that this week, and the last 3 or 4 days of last week is when, you, me, everybody else that talks on the Ace Discord were saying energy is shit.
Yeah, this game definitely has an energy crisis, that's for sure.
My hope is that they're probably in a place where they can't actually fix it in the beta. It's going to take a bit more of a fundamental thought process to go through that. But the fact, if they keep giving us this 20 tokens every day till the end of beta, for me, that's kind of them acknowledging the fact that, okay, we done fucked up. The energy system is not where it needs to be. And we're going to fix it. This is kind of a band-aid solution for now until we fix it before launch. That's my hope. I'm being optimistic, I know, but
I told him it's an easy fix. They need to cut all stamina-based things in half. If it's a 5 stamina cost, make it a 3. If it's an 8, make it a 4. If it's a 12, make it a 6. Then you can keep the drop rates as bad as they are, but you still have to do something about gear XP. There is no exception to that. That has to be fixed.
well, for me, my main problem is the 50, 100, 150, and then 200 ad infinitum. You know, if I'm spending 200 gems for 120 energy, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, no,
It's
that needs
like-
to change really badly. That's the worst thing.
ridiculously bad value.
Just keep it at 50 and put no limit on it. If a whale wants to go all day, let them. If free to play wants to drop, 200-300 a day, let them. Why put a limit? Make it
Exactly.
50.
You know, like in this last week, I'm an RSL player, and in this last week, I've spent maybe 3,000 or 4,000 gems just farming stuff. And if it was 50 gems per refill in Ace, I would do exactly the same thing. I'd be more than happy to spend very large quantity of gems just farming stuff because the price is reasonable and I want to get strong characters. But I'm not willing to spend like $100 a day on gems.
Well,
Yeah,
you go ahead. Well, anyways, so yeah, and that's going to go hand in hand with the whole stamina problem because not only are they charging you a lot of gems for the stamina, that stamina does not equate to a lot of value because the drop rates are so bad. So if they fix the stamina, they fix the drop rates, and they fix the amount that you're spending with diamonds to get stamina itself, that's going to make the game a lot more healthy because I told Ace and Boardman this. I said, do you want me to go in, log into your game, play for 10 minutes, and then log out for 10 hours while I wait for my stamina to fully recharge and go play somebody else's game and spend money on their game? Because right now you guys are doing a great job at that because that's what would happen at release. If the game was like this at release, players would be playing for 10, 15 minutes and then go play something else. And that's not good long term. You want us to play for 5-6 hours reasonably a day. This is a gacha game. We're a gacha community. We're used to the grind. We want to do the grind. That's why we play gacha games. It's fun to collect heroes, test them out, build them, find strategies, farm. We're basically closet MMO fans. Or maybe some of us are. Who knows? But that's basically what a gacha is at the end of the day. It's just a grind fest.
It's like us gacha players that have been playing for years, it's like we're used to farming for hours on end. We don't mind it. We enjoy it. We kind of do it while we're watching TV or whatever.
You want to play 10 to 15 minutes, you go play an idle game.
Exactly.
Because
before they were doing this thing with giving us the 20 extra, it was like I was kind of keeping a rough idea, like for the last week or so, I'd been keeping a rough idea of how long I got to play before I ran out of energy. That was, doing all my things to get the various energy that you get. And if I did like enough arena to get some tokens and I did my guild boss and bought more food tokens with that, I was getting about an hour's gameplay if I bought the 50 gems and the 100 gems. And then I'd just be done.
I think my main concern, and I hope it's not an issue. I hope that the meal tickets are like an acknowledgement of this being an issue. But my main concern is that they're just basically trying to increase energy during beta to allow us to test during beta, but yet they won't actually acknowledge it as a problem when it comes live. I hope that's not the case, but that's
our game will fail if they don't acknowledge it. So
Yeah, they will have to acknowledge it because otherwise this game will flop instantly. Because right now, what I keep trying to tell these guys is you're competing against 3 big companies that are very well established with their player bases and the way they run things. And that is, of course, Raid Shadow Legends, Epic 7, and Summoner's War. Those are your competition. Those are the biggest competition, and they're all well established. So, every month this game does not release, that's another month those 3 companies make more money and get more players. So when this game finally releases, you have to convince those groups of players to come and play your game, which means you're now competing for not only money, but time. Because those games, you can play several hours in each one of those. So you're now competing with those players for your time. You know, what is going to make Awaken Chaos Era bring your attention to them? Like, what are they going to do that's different? So if you're going to have a stamina issue, that's not going to get you any players. That's going to be more of a repel than anything else. They're just going to be like, okay, you have a stamina problem. I'm not playing that game. I've already went through this with Epic 7 in 2018. I'm not going through it again in 2021 or 2022 or whenever. It's just not going to happen. Players are a lot smarter. They're not as, sheepish, if you will, as they were a few years ago, where they just kind of followed the flock and did whatever the company said without question, didn't bat an eye. Nowadays, players are looking into this stuff a lot more. They're looking at the pack prices. They're looking at values. They're looking at data tables. They're looking at tier lists. They're looking at this and that and trying to really establish, is this game worth my time? Because time is money. Free-to-play players, believe it or not, they make companies a lot of money. You want to know why? They got the best marketing tactic in the world, and that's called word of mouth. You cut off the free-to-plays, your game is dead. It's like cutting the legs off. You just go under at that point.
Yep. Well,
So
you have to have the free-to-plays, because if there's no free-to-plays, then there's nobody for the whales to play with, and it just cascades downhill from there.
Whales love being the big fish in a big pond, and you can't do that when there's no free-to-plays. It's going to be whales on top of whales on top of whales, and then it's just going to be who can whale more today, and that's just not going to work long-term. Because whales love competition, whales love communities, they love to talk, they like to showcase, they like to flex. You can't do those things when everyone is basically on equal playing field. As weird as that sounds, having free-to-play to kind of pick on is a good thing in essence. Not to mention, the way this game is built, the more people who whale, the better. Because you know what I can do? You know what my cheap ass can do? I can go grab those whales as friends and use them in story.
Absolutely.
So what I say to these whales is go for it.
Unless you're friends with Van Heilman, and then they won't gear their Hydrisia.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing is, like, with this game also, like, everyone benefits from the whales because of the support feature. So it's like, they can whale as much as they like, and you be friends with them, you can get some benefit from their whaling. It's great. I mean, it's actually a great thing for this game that they can do that.
That was actually one thing, different kind of game I used to play, Rise of Kingdoms. It was one of those like city builder attack, PvP style of games, and it was kind of the Raid Shadow Legends of the genre. It's like Whale Fest, and I mean even bigger Whale Fest than RSL. I believe like the most somebody had spent on their account was 7 figures kind of stuff. But whenever you whaled out in that game, everybody that was in your clan benefited, because when you opened like a big chest or something, everybody in the clan got a little reward. It was one of the best systems I've seen in any game, because it encouraged people to whales, and every time a whale whaled, he helped out his free-to-play friends.
Yeah, it's a great system to have, because being able to play with whales is great, because, usually whales are whales because they want to be competitive. But... Huh?
I was just laughing at Overload in chat. I think he's just planning to unfriend us all.
Oh. But yeah, having whale friends is really good for this game. Being able to get you through tough to beat areas. I mean, and there's it's a good situation too. It's like, if, like, let's say you reroll for Zatlux, you don't have a Hydrisia, you grab a friend that has a Hydrisia, and vice versa. It's very, very helpful. It's actually a good system, one of their better systems. Mm-hmm. And but the downside, the funny thing about this game is the best feature in this game, believe it or not, is probably dispatch. Yep. And usually dispatch is one of my least favorite modes in almost any game that has them, because they're usually very unrewarding. But when you actually get to pretty far in dispatch, it actually is pretty rewarding. It's probably more rewarding than a lot of other modes, which is hilarious.
Have you mentioned to Borden or Ace about the dispatch coins, by the way?
Like what to do with them after you've maxed out your abilities?
Yeah, because I have about 2,000 dispatch coins now, and nothing to do with them.
Okay, I'll tell you, I should make a video about this, but okay, so this is what you do with your coins. You actually re-roll what star mission you have. So let's say you get a 1 star, you can go ahead and cancel that, and then maybe it'll be a 2 star the next time around. cancel it again. Maybe it'll be a 3-star. Maybe it'll be a legendary. So you can actually refresh the actual missions that you have, the dispatch missions, with your coins.
Oh, I can see the little abandon thingy up in the
Yep.
corner.
Yep. You click abandon, and then you click. It'll cost you. I forget how much it costs the first time around. I think it's like 20 to refresh it, and then I don't know how much it costs after that. But yeah, you basically use your coins at that point to refresh to get better missions.
You
Yeah,
learn
and if
something
you
new
click
every
the
day.
coins here, it says that just what he's saying. Used to upgrade bounty abilities, refresh bounties, etc. Complete bounties to earn dispatch gold. So it says to refresh bounties with them. So if you abandon them, you can re-roll them.
Yeah, that's actually a good tip. I didn't know that either. I mean, I knew about the abandon thing, but I guess I hadn't really thought about, oh, that's what I'm going to do with all my dispatch gold once I've maxed my abilities.
It's a pity you can't re-roll them in one click, though.
I just wish there was a collect in one click, honestly.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, we definitely need that because I hate having because I don't know how many times I've missed ditch passes because I completely forgot about them, and I'll go several hours without even remembering, and then I'll go back and I'm like, oh crap, these were done like half a day ago. Yeah, it's
And
not fun.
also the assigning characters to the missions is not good at the moment.
No, you're better off doing it manually to get the better percentages because you don't. Sometimes you only need to use one unit. Sometimes you need to use like 2 or 3, depending. And it definitely encourages you, especially if you're trying to do the legendary ones, the 4-star ones. You're definitely going to need a very well built up box because those percentages are bad. Even if you max out all your abilities, they're still really bad. The chance of catching your bounty or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever got a Lego one above like 65%.
It definitely looks like you get a bonus for having units within the same faction as the person you're trying to capture, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you do get like a... Well, if you look at the little icons down the side, usually one of those ones is have somebody from a certain faction.
Then I think you get a bigger buff if you're using the same unit as the unit you're trying to capture. I've noticed a lot of those be like around like 80 to 100% or something like that just by popping in the one unit that's exactly the same as the unit you're trying to capture, it seems like.
Haven't tried that yet.
I definitely need to test more of that mode, but yeah, it's not too bad. I think I get like on average like maybe 50 to 100k additional gold a day from that, probably even more on jelly.
Thing I like out of it is you get a bunch of stones as well. It's one of the few places that sort of vomits out stones pretty quick.
There you go.
But yeah, it's like this dispatch system is like the thing in Summoner's Glory that was very similar.
I know what you're talking
But-
about. The what's it called?
Anabasis or
Anabasis,
whatever
yeah.
it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So way.
So if we went back to the spreadsheet, anything else we should add here? Like we've got Arena, Raid Boss, Tulpa. I was starting to put Ash and Poison. Should we put any of those in there? Should we add some, take some away? Is there some areas we want to highlight people, or is that a bad idea? People have been asking for it, but honestly, I think a lot of it is just going to be cross affinity. I mean, you just...
Yeah, well, it's like one of the things with the raid boss thing is the raid boss is 3 different affinities, so the good units on it change week to week.
Yeah, we were just putting like 3 on there that
So going back to
seemed
the
to do...
spreadsheet,
What's that? Yeah, we just had people that were saying there were 3 that were kind of base, that were strong against neutral affinities, so they wanted to highlight them.
I would say Connor and William could probably bump up to tier 3. I was just looking over the tier list. I haven't seen it in a few days, so I was just looking over it.
Yeah, Connor can go up as high as he wants. We don't care.
Yeah. Well, I also say William too because he's gonna be in all the meta teams.
I would disagree slightly on William just because of the fact that, yes, I agree with you on all your points, but William's only as good as the other champions you're running. You know, he's a slightly niche, like Connor, kind of irrespective of what team you're running, is good. But William he needs like people to enable to actually make him good. Therefore, I would put him 1 tier below Connor.
Well, the issue is I feel like if we do go that route, we're like kind of going down a rabbit hole because there's a lot of units that would move up if we're talking about how good they are individually opposed to being in a team. Like Connor by himself isn't going to do anything. You know, he has no damage output. He would just die. He has to be in a team, right? So it's like, and then
Yes,
Mara
the
needs
thing
to
with
be in a
Connor is
setup.
he can be in, you know, in a standard, whether it's in a water attacking team or a wind attacking team or a poison team or whatever, Connor can still do his job, whereas William needs specific people within his team to actually do his job.
Well, it depends because he could work with anything that wants to use their skill 1. William helps out. I'm just reading the the Twitch here. Dover Load says William helps out with his passive a lot. Normal A1s deal more damage, which makes you get away with having less gear and scales better depending on your team.
Hey, I don't mind being outvoted.
Oh no, your points are your counterpoint is very valid. At least you had a counterpoint. It's better than some people that are just like, you're wrong, fuck you.
Yeah, I kind of hate people like that. But yeah, it sort of comes into the point of what the suggestion to the change or the change to the tier list that I kind of advocated for last time we were doing it last weekend is that like anybody, the thing I was sort of saying is like anybody we put in like the top few levels, few tiers of the tier list, we should have a very specific reason that we can put down in the notes that like this person is in tier 3 because, not this person's great, he's in tier 3.
There you go. By the way, I'm trying to build Connor at utmost potential. I'll be taking him the 6-star, and I'm finally on the final glyph level for him.
Nice.
So he's gonna be nasty.
We're gonna have a
I'm
nice
going to be
video
interested
for
to
that soon.
see that. Well, I'm hoping there's going to be a video on that because I want to see a Connor that's level 60 fully maxed with proper gear. Should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm just hoping I get it done before the beta ends.
Now we can look
Trying to
back
get
on it
them.
after the nerf and wonder what it could have been.
Yeah, this is what he used to be. He used to be Superman. Now he's fucking Robin, getting killed by Joker with a baseball bat. No, I'm sorry, a crowbar.
Yeah, somebody needs to estimate a time of death for Thomas.
That's true. Robin did get resurrected. Gotta love DC and Marvel comics, man. Nothing makes sense. Yeah, I was hoping to do a really good build for Cyrus, but I can't get another dupe for her to drop, so that probably won't happen. Cyrus hits extremely hard, especially for Tulpa.
Any other gear recommendations for any of these people? Ciara. Trying to see anybody that's commonly used.
Bruzak's an easy one. Give them all defense. That's a fairly simple one you could put in there. Just all defensive build.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame we don't have all those resources because I'd love to try out the poison team. It's like I have Gangello with 1 or 2 dupes. I have Cyrus with 1 or 2 dupes. I have Raven with a few dupes. But I just don't have enough pumpkins to level up the team and then gear it.
One of the guys that gets in the voice call in the Awaken Chaos Era Discord, Nukes, he has probably the most build-up poison team I've seen so far. And he's able to just burst through Tulpa 11 within like a minute or two. It's like super quick, but it's not quite equipped well enough to handle Tulpa 12 yet because he doesn't even have the full team, but he's got the furthest fully built anyway. It's
Which
disgusting
champs
to
is
see.
he running?
He's running Santis and Gangello. I think he also runs Zatlux, and I forget what his 4th unit is. I think it might be William. I think it is William. The thing is, though, he doesn't have the full curse set on the team yet. You got to have the full curse set for all your poison units. That way they can use that skill 1 again, get off an additional poison. Because with Gangello, the crazy thing is, you only need 8 ticks of poison to go off twice, and then the boss is dead. It doesn't matter what the boss is. Just 8 ticks, twice, dead. That simple.
Does poison bypass shields?
I would assume that it does because it's a dot, but in this game, who knows? When I saw him doing his runs, I don't even think the boss even had a chance to get its shields up. I think Tulpa just got melted.
Yeah, that was kind of the same. That was the reason to run Thomas as well. You actually killed him before he put his shield up.
Because right now, a poison tick, 1 poison does 3% max health. With Gangello, it goes to 6%. So if you run 8 of them, that's a little bit over 100% and dead. You pop it twice, he's dead.
Yeah, but you also need a very well geared AoE clear. I'm assuming
Yeah,
his Zatlux was one-shotting both waves.
Yes, Zatlux with 5-star gear can one-shot all of Tulpa 11 waves. With 6-star gear, he can do Tulpa 12. That's why I said Zatlux is a monster. You're not going to take him out of your Tulpa team ever because he's going to be able to handle all 12 stages of the waves as long as you keep progressively building up his gear.
Yeah, because my assumption is that the comp would struggle if you can't one-shot the waves, because then like your Gangello would use his ult on a wave, which is a massive waste of poisons.
Because see, a lot of people also wonder they always they're wondering why, like, how does Zatlux always get crits off? Because there's a weird way to build Zatlux that a lot of people kind of overlook, and that's his passive. His passive's giving you 30% crit, so you technically only need to get your crit rate to 70% to max it out 100. So he doesn't need as much crit investment, so you can go more offensive with his attack and crit damage. And then he also gets 30 precision, which is a stat that's very underrated. That allows him to also be able to crit on top of red units, because here's the thing, there is technically no crit resistance in this game. There's only deflection. And if you have a type disadvantage, the enemy has a 50% chance to pop a deflection off. And if you get a deflection off, you're not going to get critted. That's where precision comes into play. The more precision, the less likely that type advantage or disadvantage is going to really matter. So sometimes when I build my Zatlux, I like to give him a little bit more precision if I can get it with some other good rolls. and then
So
I
if
go
you
all
can get your
offensive.
Zatlux up to 50% precision, you should, or just over 50%, then in theory you should always be able to crit on anything.
It all depends on how the damage formula works
Yeah, I
for
guess.
type advantage and disadvantage. But yes, the more precision definitely helps him.
Good to know.
So it's just a little interesting tip for you Zatlux fans out there that are wondering how to build him up. There you go. Give him a little bit more precision. It's not a bad thing.
I wish I could build a Zatlux. He's like one of, I think he's like one of only maybe like 2 or 3 epics that I haven't managed to pull. I've got like nearly everybody. None light and dark, obviously. Those
Now-
don't count.
Now, here's an interesting thing about the poison team. The poison team might actually get nerfed in a way, depending if this is meant to be intentional or if it's a bug. So Santis' skill 2 says that it splashes basically poisons to other enemies. So it'd be good for, if you're trying to poison multiple waves. Unfortunately, though, the poison team isn't really good for waves. That's why you need a guy like Zatlux. But for the boss, for some reason, that skill will actually duplicate multiple poisons on the boss itself. Now, I don't know if that's intentional and they just wrote the skill wrong, like they did with Connor, or if both her situation and even Connor's situation is they're not working as intended. But I haven't heard Borden or Ace say anything about that, and I know they know how Connor works because it's been spoken about many times by now. So maybe it's just a case of they just didn't word it correctly, which I'm hopeful for because right
I
now
think with
Santis,
Connor anyway, it's worded incorrectly because if you think about his heal, the graphical animations do 3 heals. Therefore,
yeah, so it's probably a typo. So I'm
yeah.
hoping it's the same situation with Santis because if Santis doesn't work that way, then the poison team suffers greatly. And then we would need another, poison type unit to really make that team work because then the team won't be as fast as it needs to be because right now the poison team can work quick as soon as you get to the boss because of Santis, because she's taking whatever poisons you have and duplicating them. So now you're getting all those stacks super quick. Gangelo's trait goes off and the boss is dead. Very simple, very nice and easy. But if they take that away from Santis, it's a whole different story because now the poison team is going to work significantly slower. So that could definitely cause an issue with running the poison team. So we'll have to see at release if that's a thing or if it's just a typo. I'm hoping that it's just a typo. Because it's already bad enough that Santis is a blue unit going into Tulpa. So let's not nerf her. Let's not nerf her, please.
Does she with the poison team? I never really hear anybody talking about focus.
Focus is really good if you have anything below like 100% chance to proc.
And
Mara, I would say, is also another one that even though she has 100% chance with debuffs, she could, freeze. It still can get resisted because if you go through your glyphs and you get to like level 4 and level 5, you're going to start to notice that your characters are getting quite a bit of resistance added to them, especially if it's a tank unit. They get a lot of resistance. So not having any focus at all could be a little bit of a problem later on in the game for debuffers. So maybe getting a little bit of focus, like 15, 20%, just a touch of focus to try and help would probably be beneficial for a lot of debuff units later on. I would definitely say that because, if people start getting smart for PvP particularly anyways, and they start stacking on a lot of resistance, they're not going to have to rely on that immunity set for that one turn to try and get around being hit with a big debuff or anything like that. So we'll have to see. But in PvE, I don't think focus is as necessary. I think that's more of a PvP thing, as of right now anyways. Because I haven't seen any boss really where I've struggled to get a proc to go off.
Yeah, that was the thing that I was kind of inquiring about because my main background is in RSL, which every boss has their own innate resistance levels, and you need a certain accuracy / focus level to hit your debuffs on the boss.
Yeah, I haven't really ran into that issue. Like, to be honest, I just haven't really seen it. Like, if it's a 30% chance to go off, it's already going to be low. If it's 50%, it's a coin toss, so it could go off, it couldn't. And the ones that just say, we just do it with no percentage restriction, I've just never really seen that problem. So I don't know if maybe the bosses just don't have very good resistance right now. Maybe they forgot. I don't know. But it definitely doesn't seem like it's really necessary right now. Not in PvE.
Certainly gives you some freedom with your stats.
It would definitely be nice if I've preached to them about this so many times. I told Ace and Board I need to tell the developers that I would love to see the stats of the enemies in battle, not just their HP. I want to see what their defense looks like. I want to see what their attack is. I want to see these things because it helps a lot when we're trying to figure out the damage formula and trying to set up strategies and how to beat certain stages. It just adds a little extra layer to the game and how to build your teams. And I just think that that's something that's really missing. You can go up to go up to the information panel and you can see, okay, we got my HP, the enemy's HP, and what buffs and debuffs we have on. That's it. I want to see a little bit more information. I want to be able to click and hold, or if you're on your phone, tap and hold on top of an enemy, and then a little window, just a little UI window, show some of their basic information: resistance, defense, speed, attack, and then let me build my team accordingly.
Yeah, it's the kind of stuff they'll either give it to us or, like in Raid Shadow Legends, people will just go into the game code and get the stuff out themselves.
Well, Borden gave me a damage formula, but I don't know if it's correct or not. I haven't really put it into practice, but essentially, it seems too basic for me to believe that it's real. But essentially, it is damage times attack divided by defense plus attack. That's what he said the damage formula was. And it doesn't sound right, and it sounds too basic, and there's a lot of things that are missing from that formula, like what is taking into account true damage, for example. Where does that get calculated in the damage formula? How is crit
that
damage
formula
calculated in that
sounds
formula?
way too basic.
Yeah. So I haven't had time to test it yet, but I don't think, because there's a few things that are missing from the formula. Like I said, like true damage, where does that come into play? Where does crit damage come into play? Is the crit damage calculated before or after? Just a lot of...
Where does affinity come into play? Where does deflections come into play?
Yeah, a lot of mystery there for sure. Let's see. Because if it's damage times attack, you would basically take your attack multiplier, your for your skill. Let's say if it's 100%, and then you would times that by your attack. And if your attack is say 1,000, so it'd be like 100% times 1,000, just be 1,000. It would just be straight 1,000. It'd be equal. And then you got to divide that by the enemy's defense plus their attack. But here's my problem: we don't know the enemy's attack or their defense. So to even test this formula would be mind-numbingly painful and would take several upon several runs. The good thing is, though, from all my 60-some accounts of rerolling up to level 10 and doing a bunch of summons trying to pull dark and light units to test them, which was a fail, I have noticed that the damage calculations are the same. There is no min-max, like there isn't, like if you've ever played like 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross, there was like a min and max that you could get on basic damage. Like sometimes you could hit for 100, sometimes you could hit for 300, sometimes you could crit for 1,500, sometimes you could crit for 3K. There doesn't seem to be that in the game, so at least that part of the damage formula I can somewhat figure out. But yeah, I just don't know where crit damage would come into account on this formula, or
My guess is the
obviously true
easiest way to
damage.
check out that formula would be to use your multiple accounts and have them all in bronze whatever and set your defense as a unit where you know exactly what their
Yeah, it
defense
is.
is going to be.
It is a little weird that we don't have friend PvP. To be honest, I figured that'd be something that they're already implemented, because that would really help with testing. Because I could just tell somebody, hey man, I want you to
Yeah.
put your unit in here completely naked, no gear. Send me a picture of their stats. And then I go in, put my unit in there. I do whatever I want to do my testing. And then boom, we have the formula figured out. I'll take a unit in there that does true damage like Elson, or I'll just take a unit in there that does a defense down. I'll take a unit in there that does, a poison, a bleed, whatever. Just try and test all the various elements to the game, write out the formula and say, here you guys go. Now we have the formula. But the problem is, unless they show us the enemy's stats and defense, like their attack and defense, that formula is not going to really account for much. Because we're not going to know how much of, so and so we need to be able to like one shot this enemy, for example. Like how much attack does my Zatlux need to kill this thing? I mean, yeah, you could just keep upping his attack until it finally kills it and then be like, hey, we did it. But it would just be a lot easier if we just knew the numbers. All right, fellas, I got to go for a bit. Hate to run on you, but fun talking to you.
Josh, always
See
a
you around.
pleasure. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully, we'll do this again. We'll definitely do it again this Saturday if you're able to come join us again. We appreciate your input.
Yeah, no problem.
Keep up
All
the
right, see
good
you guys
work
later.
on content. Guys, if you're not following Joshverse, ExusGames, it's under ExusGames now, right? On
Yes.
YouTube. Yeah, follow ExusGames, EXUS Games on YouTube. Josh is putting out a lot of great content, so please support his content, and we appreciate him stopping by and helping us with the spreadsheet and helping us with his intellect very much. Thank you, Josh.
Hey, much appreciation.
No
Thanks for
problem.
having me. See you guys later.
Take care, bud. Bye-bye. Dan, you still having problems with your game? Do you know what exactly caused it? Just the when it reset, it just reset something in your account? Took you back to the start? So you still have all of your characters and equipment and all that. It just resets your progress back to 1-1?
We'll check back in later if you're still running, but I need to leave for about an hour or so.
Okay, I think I'm going to head out for a little bit myself and get something to eat for lunch, and I might stream again later on this afternoon. I certainly appreciate everybody's input. Thanks so much. I will probably post this to YouTube. So if anybody missed it, they can look into it, and maybe we can get back together later on this afternoon and do a little bit more if anybody wants to. Thank you so much to Zoldiark, to Coco, to Joshverse, to Kenny, to Dan, to everybody, Dover, everybody. I hate to start thanking people because then I forget somebody, and I don't want to forget anybody. I really appreciate this community. I love that all of y'all are in it. Snitch and everybody else, thank you so much. Please, if you have not, please click the heart. That will it's a free follow. It doesn't cost a dime, and it'll make you part of the community. It'll give you a notification whenever we get back together and work again to build the community. And we would love your input. Also, join the Discord if you'd like. One last time, I will post the links to the spreadsheet in the Discord here in the chat. There's the spreadsheet link, and this is the Discord link. Everyone is welcome. Feel free to download the Google Doc, make a copy of it for yourself so you can customize it and do whatever you want to with it. Also, join the Discord if you'd like to join our community. And again, click the follow button. It's completely free. Be sure to follow Dan Heilman and ExusGames on YouTube. Anybody else here that's on YouTube or Twitch that I didn't mention, please also support everybody else in the stream. Thanks again, Zoldiark, and everybody else. I don't know who's still here on the chat because, hold on, I can look. It looks like Kokochu is still here, but I appreciate everybody being here, and I will talk to you later. If there's anybody that's got anything, last words, please speak up. If not, oh, thanks, Boiler. I appreciate it. If not, I'm going to raid y'all into Leela Fox Nation. She's great. You'll like her. If you would, just stay long enough to say hi to her and make us look good. She streams Raid, but she's fantastic for just following.